Hello, today I'll show you how to add a seed planting and growing system in the farming game in Scratch. As you can see, this is the farming game, and if I click a bot plot and click any seed, it will plant the seed, and it can work for any plot. And as you can see, it will slowly grow. So let's get started. First, go into your farming game and go into variables, delete the bot plot variable, create a new list named plot stat for all sprites. Delete all of plot stat, create a new variable named ID for this sprite only. Now set ID to 1, change ID by 1, and add in to plot stat. And lastly, replace item 1 of plot stat with Y. Now, if item ID of plot stat equals N, and then duplicate and put it in this one, and then lastly replace item ID of plot stat with Y. Now if you test it, it should still work, like if plot bot was still existent. Now create a new variable named select menu for the seeds. Now use the box tool, make sure there's no outline, and make the fill a nice wooden color, something like this. Then create the box and make it a good size and name it title. Now use the line tool, use this tool, and then change the brightness slightly lower and make it a good thickness. And press shift to create some stripes with to create a nice texture. Now select everything and group it. Now use the text tool, make it any font, and make the fill white. And then type in seeds. Now create a new create a new costume named exit. And use the box tool, make the fill a nice light red color, something like this, and make it a good size, something like 30 times 30. Now use the line tool, make the color white, and make it a good size. Now we will press shift, create one line, then another, and then another. Then press shift, create this, and then create this. Now drag this into here, and if you want, you can adjust this, and then select both of them and group it, and then place it in the middle. Now duplicate the title and then name it carrot. Now delete the words seed and then change it to 100 times 50, something like that. Now use the box tool, make the fill a nice orange color and create a rectangle like this. Now click here, delete these 2 points, then squish it into a nice carrot shape, then use the line tool, make it a nice greenish color, something like this. Then use the draw tool, make the fill a darker version of the main carrot, and then just draw some lines to make it look nice. Now select this, group it, rotate it, and then place it somewhere about here. Now in the code, when green flag is clicked, hide, create a new variable named can click for this sprite only. Set can click to 0, and then create a new block named create clones. Run without screen refresh. Now in here, when green flag, create clones, go to 0, 140, set ID, create a new variable named ID for this sprite only, and now set ID to T for title, create a clone of myself, then duplicate this, then this time it's go to 210 and 150. Set this to E for exit, and then lastly duplicate, set ID to 0 and create a new list named select info. Now but delete all of select info. Now repeat once because we only have one type of seed, which is carrot. Now if, and then a mod ID mod 4 equals 0, then we will change y by -55 and set x to -160. Now change ID by 1, then add x to select info, and then add y, duplicate these two, add seed amount and crop amount, and lastly add name. Then create a clone of myself and change x by 105, and lastly at the very bottom set ID to NC or not clone. Now when I start as a clone, then also hide, and then switch costume to ID +2, Then replace item ID times 5 because there's 5 of these, and then subtract it by 4, which would be the first one, and then replace it with X position. Then subtract 3 Y position, subtract 2. For now, for testing purposes, we will have 10 amount of seeds, and we will have 0 crop amount. And then lastly, which would be the name, we will just do costume name, which is carrot. Now, forever, if else not equal, or not equal, ID not equal T or E. Now, in the else, if ID equal T, switch costume to title. If ID equals E, switch costume to exit. And if mouse down, actually if touching mouse pointer, and then if else touching mouse pointer, and then if mouse down. Before that, it's change size by divide, subtract 115 subtracted by size divided by 3, and else 100. And now if mouse down, if can click equals 1, and then if wait until not mouse down, wait until not mouse down, broadcast new message, close, select menu. Now, up here, we will do if else mouse touching mouse, then we will do change size by 105 subtracted by size divided by 3, else 100. Now, if can click equals 1, and then if mouse down, wait until not mouse down, and then another if not, and then a less than, item ID times 5 subtracted by 2 is less than 1, and then replace item ID times 5 subtracted by 2 with item ID of, and make sure all of it is select info. Make sure all of this is select info. Now, all of this will be item ID times 5 subtracted by 2, actually subtracted by 1. And then create a new variable named select menu for all sprites. Now, replace item select menu with join 1, which is the state that it's in, and then another join with item ID of 5 subtracted by 0, and then ID. Now, lastly, we will broadcast new message seed chosen, and then under that will be new message closed select menu. Now, back in the farming, under replace item 4 of text info within, we will do if mouse down, then if and also up here, set select menu to 0. Now, if select menu equals 0, then another if else, and then item ID of plot stat is equal to y, then set select menu to ID, and broadcast new message open select menu. Now, in the else if create a new variable named stage, which would be the stage of the seed, if stage is greater than 3. Now, after this, when I receive open select menu, we will do repeat 10 times change ghost by 10. and then when I receive close select menu, set brightness to 0, and then a if else item ID of plot stat equals n, repeat 10 times, change ghost by -5, else change ghost by -10. Now, and also make sure to set this ghost to 50 instead. Now, in the select menu, when I receive open select menu, if not ID equal not clone or NC, then set ghost effect to 100, then show, then repeat 10 times, change ghost by 10, and set can click to 1. Now when I receive close select menu, we first set can click to 0. We don't need those. And then set select menu to 0 at the bottom, and then hide. Now, duplicate this and change it to seed chosen, which both of them are the same. Now, in the text, we will do if select menu is greater than 0, then create a new block named fast repeat. Run without screen refresh and add an input called times. Now, in here, we will do length of select info divided by 5. And then repeat times, create a new variable named cycle for this sprite only. Set cycle to 0, change cycle by 1, then create text, and then do item of select info cycle times 5 subtracted by 4, and then a plus -5. Duplicate this, place it in the Y, change this to 3, and this -10. Then the text would be subtracted by 2, and no plus. Set size to 80, set brightness to 100, and color to 0. Now we duplicate this. This time, this will be -10, and this will be this will be just 10, and then this will be 0. Also in the farming sprite, do a if, and then if menu select menu equals 0. Make sure this is changed ghost effect by -10, and also make sure that in the text it's when I start as a clone, go to front and then show. Now if you test it, as you can see, the caret will show up, and if you click it, it will change the amount that it has. Now let's get the growing system. First, go into the farming, duplicate this, naming this one 1 caret 1, and make sure caret is spelled like the one in select menu. Now use the circle tool and make it a carrot seed like color, something like this. Now copy pastel it and rotate it like that. Duplicate this, it will automatically set. Actually, make sure this is 1 and this is 2. Now, use the line tool, make the outline a nice greenish color and make it a good size. Now, create tiny green lines, something like this. Then duplicate it, make sure this is 1 and this is 3. Now, in here, add another line to that line that's longer. And then the last one will be selecting the seed and deleting it, and make sure the name is right. Then use the circle tool, make the fill the same color as this by ungrouping it for now. Then using the circle tool, and make a nice fill. Then create the carrots. Now, select all of the carrots, then go to back and then forward once. Then use the line tool, get the same color and the same thickness, and then create something like this. Now, at the very top, switch costume to item ID plot stat. As you can see, everything works. Now create a new variable named timer for the sprite only, and then state actually for the sprite only as well. Now if else not, and then or state greater and a new variable called stage for this sprite only. Now if else not or item ID of plot stat equal y or state greater than 4. Now change timer by 1 divided by 30 because 1 second would be 30 frames or ticks. Then create another new variable named select ID for this sprite only, and set select ID to letter length of ID of plot stat, letter length of ID of item ID of plot stat of item ID of plot stat. Now in the else in here, set timer to 0. Now if timer is greater than 4, which is 4 seconds, change stage by 1, and then replace item ID and then join stage and then another join and then item times 5, item selected ID times 5 of selected ID. Now, and lastly, set timer to 0. Now, going back in this, mouse down, select menu equals 0, this part we will do if stage is greater than 3, replace item ID of plot stat with y, replace item and then times 5, selected ID times 5, or select ID times 5 subtracted by 1, and then of item, and make sure this is select info, and then item, select info, and then select ID times 5 subtracted by 1. And lastly, set stage to 1. And make sure to do that at the start as well. Make sure that this is also select info. Now if you test it, click this, wait a few seconds. As you can see, it will start growing, and this can work on anyone. It will slowly grow. Make sure that right here, where there's 1, 2, 3, there's a wait until not mouse down. And make sure to add a plus in here. Make sure that this is Y instead of in. Now if you test it, go into caret, click caret. As you can see, they will slowly grow all the way until they are both carrots. Then you can click to harvest them. Now you have a seed planting and growing system in your farming game in Scratch. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.